Okay, we're looking at June 2010, LSAT Prep Test 60 Logic Game 1. And I realized when I went through the first time and recorded these, I kind of give you optimal answers, and I want you always to strive for these sorts of answers. But I also want to kind of show you what happens when things don't exactly go your way, and you're just basically forced to work through a game. You're forced to muscle through a game because you just can't really see what's going on. So I picked this one. I think it's it's not the most complicated of games, but it'll give you an idea of the sort of things that you need to do. Again, in most of my explanations, I go through each and every single answer choice. On this one, I'm going to try to just kind of replicate what I would do in the event that I couldn't really see anything going on and I just had to do whatever I could to solve the game. Okay, so our community center will host 6 arts and crafts workshops. We have J, K, N, Q, R, and S. They occur over 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, each in the morning and in the afternoon. Each workshop will be given once, exactly 2 workshops will be given each day. Okay, so some people put 2 lines. It's not wholly necessary. 1 line, and you put something on the top and bottom, and you work your way down and build as many scenarios as you need to get the job done. Okay, so we know we're 1 for 1. We have a grouping aspect. There's groups this way, and then a sequential part to this game because we have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we know there's a sequence from left to right, and then we have a group of 2 in each. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the rules. We either have to have J and K or J and Q, and this is vertical in nature. So this is going to be either a 1 group or 1 group here. And then the second rule says we have to have N and R, or we have to have S and R, and this is again morning and afternoon. And then the last rule is Q is before K and N. And let's just say I couldn't make any deductions whatsoever. I have no clue what's going on in this game. I just go straight to the questions. Okay. Which one of the following is an acceptable schedule for the workshops with each day's workshops listed in the order they are to be given? Okay, so elimination question. I know exactly what to do. I'm looking at either for a J and K or J and Q, and if I go through and I look at E, I end up with a QJ, not a JQ, so E would fall out. The second rule, I need an N and R or S and R, and if I look at D, I have RN instead of NR, so D would fall out. And then the last rule, Q has to occur before both K and N. The only real question that you have is, boy, if Q was on Monday, could K or N be on Monday too in the afternoon? And if you would go back to the rule, and it says Q must be given on an earlier day. So Q actually has to occur the day before both K and N. And if you look at A, K actually occurs before Q, so A falls out. And then if you look at C, Q occurs in the morning on Wednesday and N on the afternoon on Wednesday, but that's no good. C falls out. We're left with answer choice B. Okay, let's look at 2. Which one of the following cannot be given on Thursday morning? If I had no clue what I was doing in this game, what I would do is I would just say, okay, let me put something on Thursday morning here. If I put a J here, okay. Now, one of the strategies that you always have to employ when you're building these scenarios is, you want to get these rules out of the way as quick as possible. Q has to be before K and N, okay? So anything I can do to get Q first, I could just put Q here, for example, and I just know that K and N has to go over there. Well, let me just use up the most encompassing rules, J and K and N and R. Okay, and then S is fine. So I definitely could have J on Thursday morning. I have a JK, I have an NR, and I have Q before K and N. So my strategy is always to try to get these things out of the way. This is the most burdensome rule. I want to get it out of the way and then build a template from it, okay? Let's look at B. Could we have K on Thursday morning? Let's just take a look. We're just going to go right down. If I have K there, well, I know I would have to have a J and a Q, and let me just go ahead and get my Q out of the way, and then I'll just do the NR thing and S. And so again, what I'm really trying to do is I'm keeping these the same because I don't know how many of these I'm going to have to build, so I'm just keeping these the same and moving. I kept my Q where I could, and I had to satisfy this first rule. So I just basically trying to keep the same conceptual framework going and build these things as fast as I can. And the other thing is the more that I build them, the more that I'll understand what's actually happening in the game. Okay, let's look at the third one. It's in. Could in occur on Thursday morning? Well, I'm going to play the same game. I want to get J and Q out of the way. And let me just get my N and R out of the way. And so I'm just left with K and S, and I could put that any which way I want to. So Q is before both K and N. I have J and Q, and I also have an N and R. I'm fine. I'm good to go. Okay, so let's look at the last one, D. Could I do Q? Could I put Q there? Well, if I put Q there, I know that K and N has to go before. And if I have K and N, I can't do a J or K. I can't do a K. I can't do a J or Q. Therefore, this cannot happen. This can never work. So D is the correct answer to the question. Let's move to the next question 3. Which one of the following pairs of workshops cannot be the ones given on Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon, respectively? Well, we know that QS and JQ can be done. Okay, so that would eliminate B and C are automatically out of there. We're now just looking at A, D, and E. So let's just try J and K. I'll put that here, and so we're talking Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon. Well, if I were to put my JK there, I know that I have to have a Q, has to be before both a K and an N, so that's automatically out. This could never happen. We were given a fairly easy question. We know that the answer to the question is A. Let's look at 4. If K is given on Friday morning, which one of the following could be true? So let's move over here. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have K given on Friday morning. So which one of the following could be true? This just means I've got to test them out. J is given on Thursday morning. Well, if I put a J here, okay, let me say that I know that this would have to be a Q, okay? I have a Q there. I know now that I would have to get rid of Q has to be before K and N, and then I have an S and an R here. I have a J and a Q, that works. I have an S and R, that works, and I have Q before K and N. That could be true. As such, A is the correct answer to the question. Let's go to 5 now. If Q is given in the morning, then which one of the following cannot be given on Thursday? Okay, and so now I've gotten a little bit more familiar with what's actually happening. I know that if Q was given on the morning, Q could only occur here, and Q could occur here. And that's all that Q could do. And if Q did occur here, we'd have K and N in whatever order, okay? And what would happen is, could I even do that? If I have a Q there, Q has to be before K and N. I couldn't get my J, K, or JQ done, so that one will not work. That cannot be true. Okay. So now we're just looking at what can Q do. With Q being in the morning, if Q is in the morning, I know that I'm going to have a J or K somewhere. Okay. And I also know that no matter what happens, I have to have an N. I have to have the N happen after this. Okay, so I'd have to do an N R here. If I tried to, let's say, put an N down here, I would not have the room to do an S or an R, so I know that N or R will have to come here, and I know that S is going to have to be there. These guys can flip-flop. These guys can do whatever they want, but that's the only thing that can happen if we decide to put Q in the morning. So which one of the following cannot be given on Thursday? Well, J, K, N, and R could all occur on Thursday. Again, they can flip-flop, so that's A through D, and we're just left with E. S could never go on Thursday because we have to have these blocks, J and K, and N and R. And now the last question, 6. How many of the workshops are there that could be given on Wednesday morning? Okay, well, let's take a look at what we've created. We know that Q could happen. We know that S can happen. We know that J can happen. Okay, so we've got Q, S, J, and so then we just come over here and we say, okay, I've got Q, J, and S. Now, what's left? I know that Q has to be on a day before both K and N, so we know for a fact that K and N can't. The question now becomes, can R? So I just say to myself, okay, well, let me see what can happen. We've got R here. Let me get rid of Q because I have the KN thing, and I can just do a J and a K, and then an S, and what happens, R could never go. R always would have to occur in the afternoon. So I know that R cannot now. R is out, and I am left with just Q, S, and J, which is 3, which C is the correct answer to the question. Okay, this is how it really happens on the test when things don't break your way. So, while Scenario Solver is built on, basically optimal answers and optimal techniques, sometimes these techniques, they don't avail themselves as quickly, and when they don't, you have to rely on something like this. And I'm going to try to create more of these as I go along and give you guys two ways to look at games. When I took the LSAT, and when most people do extremely well, we prepare the way that you see the game solved. That's how we want to try to solve games every single time. But when it comes down to it, there's going to be at least one game that you face on the LSAT that you have to do something like this. So developing this skill set and not being afraid to muscle through this thing is optimal. I mean, you don't necessarily want to try to solve games in the same manner that I have. When you first begin, you want to try to always go through hierarchy of rules, go through everything to try to solve things out as best you can. But definitely once you get closer to the LSAT, you need to develop skills like this. Okay, that concludes the muscled version of LSAT 60, or PrepTest 60, June of 2010, and this was Logic Game 1. Thanks.